What's up guys? Today I'm gonna check out the latest update for the Amp Room Guitar and Bass Suite by Softube. So I'm gonna go through the plugin in more detail, and afterwards I'm gonna show you how I got the tones from the playthrough in the beginning. I hope you liked it. So let's just head over to the DW and check it out. But first let's check out how I got the session set up. First up I have a mixdown of the drums. And the drums I used for this demo were the Drumforge Daniel Bergstrand sampler with some added one-shots by the Joey Sturgis Fire Edition drum shots, which added some extra punch to the drum mix. And afterwards I have a mixdown of the bass, and the bass I used was the Submission Audio Eurobass 3, the DI for that one, and some extra processing afterwards. And those together sounds like this. Yeah, sounds pretty killer. And for the guitars, I have a left and right rhythm guitar. The DI for those sounds like this. Just a basic DI. And lastly, I have a mixdown of the lead guitar in stereo. And that's because I want to use some stereo effects within Amp Room. And the DI sounds like this for that one. So nothing fancy there. Yeah, so that's it with the tracks for the demo. And for this recording, I have two plugins on the mix bus. First off, the mix tool from Presonus, which cuts off some gain for some headroom. And after that, I have the flatline from Submission Audio to control some volume. But on the actual mix, I use some mastering plugins, and you can find out what those are if you check out the link at the end of this video, where I also show you how I got some sick metal tones out of only freeware. So that's how I got the session set up. Let's open up Amp Room and check it out. The first thing that I noticed when I open it up the first time is that they've done a killer job on the GUI. It looks really sick. Secondly, it's really intuitive and easy to use. So let's check out the details of the plugin, and then I'm gonna show you how I got the tones. If you hover over this part here, you can switch between all the different suites that they have. The Marshall suite, Metal suite, Vintage, or Bass suite. Here you have all the presets that are included for all the suites. So you got plenty of tones to choose from as a starting point. Next up are input and output controls, a gate, a mono or stereo switch, a tuner, and a switch to go from the suite version to the studio version. So it looks like this. And in this version of the plugin, you get a quick overview of all the parameters you've got set up. You can of course change all the parameters here as well. And down here you can see what amps are available in each of the 4 suites. Or if you click this arrow here, you can scroll between all the different amps that you have available. And down here you switch between the different views. From left to right you have the pre-processing section, with some really nice pedals and EQs and whatnot. Next up is the amp itself, and afterwards are the cabs. It's a dual cab setup here with a bunch of really cool high-end microphones. You can switch the mic positioning here, both in distance and also in angle. And you can blend the different cabs together here with this slider, however you think sounds the best. And down here you can choose the cab that's available in each individual suite, or the same with the amps. If you click this arrow here, you can show all the cabs that you have in your possession. Drag and drop the cabs like this and it switches, which is really easy. Next up is the post-processing section, where you can add some really cool pedals here as well, like compressors, reverb, delays, saturation, and so forth. And lastly, you have a 5-band parametric EQ. And all these sections you can either bypass by clicking this little dot here, or you can do it up here as well. So that's how the plugin is set up. Let's check out how I got the tones in the demo. And as I said in the beginning, this plugin is really easy to use and intuitive, and it's got some really kick-ass presets that's included. So what I did actually was that I chose a preset as a starting point, and then I tweaked that to get the tones that I wanted. And that was the Metal Suite High Gain Vildsint Start here. And what I got when I opened that up is that I got a crazy amount of gain, which was a bit too extreme for the song I was working on. And also I wanted to try out some of the pedals in front. The Vildsint by itself has a really good low-end control, but I wanted to have a pedal in front just to check out how that would sound. And with the pedal in front with all this gain, it was too much. So I ended up using the calm and high gain setting here. Just click that and it calmed the amp down basically, and that allowed me to use a pedal in front, so I could use that to push the front end of the amp and control the low end a bit with that one, and added some gain as well to it. Otherwise the settings on the EQ, the depth and presence and master sounded really good, so I didn't touch those, and the gain was at default. I can quickly show you how the amp sounded just by loading the preset up, and then what happened when I flicked it over to the calm high gain part here. Yeah, so by using the rage and insane gain settings here, it just got too much, so I backed it off quickly by just clicking the high gain calm setting here, and it works like a charm. So the pre-processing pedals that I ended up using was this EQ first, and into a tube screamer pedal, and the EQ replaces the plugin that I sometimes use before the amp sim to shape the DI into the amp sim to get the tones that I want. And for this tone I chose to boost a lot of 3K to get some bite out of the DI. I cut some mud at 240 Hz, and I added some low end at 100. And on the tube screamer I cranked the level all the way up to saturate the signal, added some tone, and added a bit drive. That's normally what I wouldn't do. I would normally use the drive all the way down to 0, but for this one it worked really well actually. I showed you how the amp section was set up, so the cab section looks like this. I used both left and right cab with a blend of about 50%, and the American amplification 4x12s on each side. For the left side I used the ribbon mic 121 with an angle a bit away from the cone, and on the right side I chose the SM7, and these settings were pretty much the same as the preset that I used as a starting point, as I mentioned. But one thing I did was that I pushed the mic a bit up to the cone instead of using it a bit away like the preset was, since I thought I wanted some extra presence to the right side. So that's it with the cabs. For the post-processing section there was this compressor and this room ambience thing pre-chosen for the preset, but I chose to deactivate the room ambience and kept the compressor with the settings that was on the preset because I thought it sounded really good. And I also kept the settings on the parametric EQ that was at the end of the chain. Yeah, so that's how I got the plugin set up. I'm gonna hit play now and hit on and off on the pre and post processing so you can hear what that does to the tone. Yeah, so the pre-processing pushes the amp to make it a bit more alive, and the post-processing just helps to control the tone. Both at the compressor side and the parametric EQ just takes care of the low end and a bit of the high end fizz, but also add some extra high end to cut through the mix. And for the lead tone, I'm gonna just quickly scroll through how I have the settings for that one. I chose the Marshall JCM 800 lead series for that one. And settings like this. The pre-processing was a compressor, the same EQ, and the same tube screamer with a bit more extra drive to it. And I switched off the cab to a Marshall cab at the right side and added a bit more blend to that side. Otherwise I chose the same mics, just added some extra angle to the SM7. Post-processing is the compressor again, added some delay and reverb, and the parametric EQ is the same. So let's hear how the mix sounds without any mastering plugins to it besides the flatline. And you can hear how it sounds with just the processing within Amp Room. That sounds really kick-ass. Yeah, so that's it. I hope you liked the demo. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below and I'll do my best to answer. Otherwise, you'll find all the information you need over at softube.com. And if you want to support me, please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever I release a new video. Put a thumbs up to this one, it really matters to me. And until the next video, see you later.